Go. Good Shabbos, everyone. Here we are by Ma'arat HaMachpelah, which is the cave of our patriarchs and matriarchs, the home of our fathers and mothers, Avraham, Sarah, Yitzchak, Rivka, Yaakov, and Leah. And we're really lucky to be here, particularly this Shabbos, because this Shabbos is Parshas Vayera, which talks about Avraham and Sarah and Yitzchak and the birth of our nation.
Yeah. And there's something in this week's parsha which I feel like is something very appropriate for the times we're living in now, that we can really take a very strong lesson from. In the end of the parsha, it talks about Kedat Yitzchak, the binding of Isaac, where God told Abraham to take his son Yitzchak, which that was supposed to be the future of Avram's legacy. All the Jewish people were supposed to come from Yitzchak. That's what God promised him. And God told him to take Yitzchak and to bring him offer him as a sacrifice on the Temple Mount. It wasn't the Temple Mount then, but to take him to that mountain and offer him as a sacrifice. And obviously that gave Avram a lot of uncertainty. He had his whole life's work about spreading monotheism and about serving God and only one God in the world. And that legacy was supposed to continue with the Jewish people, and especially through his son Yitzchak, specifically Yitzchak. And what God was telling him was to offer him as a sacrifice and to put an end to that plan, or to put that plan in uncertainty. What's going to be with it? But what we see in this week's parsha is that it said Avraham got up early in the morning. He didn't even push it off, procrastinate at all. He knew what God told him to do. He knew that was the best thing for him. And he was gonna, even with all the uncertainty that it brought to his whole life legacy, he went for it right away, and he was sure that whatever plan God had was the best plan. And that's something that we can apply to our times with all the uncertainty with COVID-19 and with even with the elections now in America, what's going on. There's a lot of uncertainty, and definitely things aren't going the way people envision them to go in any normal time. We could have never thought of such scenarios. But what we can learn from this week's parsha and from Avraham Avinu, from Avraham our father, that even when there's a lot of uncertainty, we know that God has a plan, and He's making all the moves, and His plan is obviously the best plan for all of us, and we should just continue going with full faith and even the excitement. We know that God has His plan, and He's making His plan happen, and we know that that's going to work out for the best for us. So that's something that I'm taking as inspiration from being here from this week's parsha, and specifically from being here near Avram and Yitzchak, which both were willing to do tremendous sacrifice. And we know that the story had a happy ending, so we're waiting for only happy and good endings for everyone.
Amen. And Ma'arat HaMachpelah is located in the city of Chevron. Chevron comes from the word chibur, which means connection. And that reminds us to always stay connected to our past, to stay connected to our forefathers, patriarchs and the matriarchs, and to really, like Tani said, really trust in God and to overcome uncertainty and place our trust in Him. So, wishing everyone a good Shabbos, and have everyone in mind here in Chevron at Ma'arat HaMachpelah, and we're so privileged to be spending this special Shabbos here and virtually with you.
Wishing everyone a good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. All the best.